people, how you doing? Good afternoon. When I make one of these social videos, my inbox breaks. Right now my inbox is experiencing an onslaught. There are so many people who don't understand some absolute basics. But okay, let's talk. I made a video yesterday and I was explaining to you, if I have invested in a place, I expect a payout. I thought that was common sense enough. But I've seen a few threads of, some of them were made on the video, some have been sent to my inbox. And what does a spouse do to help a career? So if you don't know the story, at the moment not blowing out of any of them.
It's not yet, it doesn't reach.
Yeah? Yeah. But even this still. I know why. Anyway, it's coming from the floor. Yeah, at least we'll go. Let me tell you. So the general premise of this is of a musician in Ghana who's died. This musician, in his music, in everybody who was associated with this musician will tell you. I've just seen a guy called Kweku Mensah. I think he was another of his sound engineers and he played the guitar for him sometimes. I've seen a few videos of Kweku Mensah where Akosia Sewa had just made tea or soup. I can't remember which one it was, but she had brought food and she was telling them it was hot. Yeah? Yeah, what does a spouse do to help a musician? She makes the food so that the people who come to your house to work with you, like in this case, she cooked so that the sound engineer was happy and kept coming to work with you. Yeah? She provided creature comforts. She makes these people welcome. Yeah. Yeah. It may not be a direct impact on the music, but it's a significant indirect. Yeah. Her money may go in, and even if her money doesn't go in, there are many situations where people would say to women, oh, I am investing in this career now, so you take care of home. The woman is the one who pays the rent, the woman buys the food, the woman does whatever, whichever combination of these things. Well, that's the reason why you go. Can I make a declaration here? I am also a person whose career has benefited from my spouse, and my spouse's career has also benefited from me. So I can tell you that also from the other perspective, not just as the woman's perspective, always the woman feeding into a guy's career. My career has benefited from my spouse's input, especially this media business. This media business, it is in my name. The page is mine. It's registered to me and for me, and I am the sole creative in the front of the camera now. But ask those who were here in the early days when we bought OBS. It was my husband who was in the back trying to figure out, oh, OBS was free. We got, which other apps haven't we even bought? We bought this app, he fixes it. Recently, he was just telling me he had wasted a lot of time to fix a mic for me. And I had not even sat behind that mic to do a thing. Yeah, the mic I record with, that a lot of you like. I don't set the mic myself. I am the user of the mic. I am not the calibrator of the mic. I am the one in front of the camera. But you see, we had children when I started this. Somebody had to stand in to care for the children when I am on stage. There is somebody, and we've done so many things. We've traveled to so many places. He has traveled with me and the children whilst I got to be on stage. And yes, I was on the stage. I was enjoying the space on the stage, but in order for me to be able to do so, somebody had to hold my kids. Somebody had to care for my kids. I've now finished this doctorate degree, and it's to my name. The only benefit to this doctorate degree really is that it's linked to his name, which is something I'm very happy about, because at the end of the day, there is at least some associated benefit to him that it is to his name. Yeah, Dr. Amfugrobe. Amfugrobe is not my family name, it's his family name. And I brought a little bit of respect to the name I came to meet. But really, he will never be able to pick my certificate and go anywhere to get a job. He will not. He will never be able to list those things as his. Although there is an association, it's mine. Whilst I was doing that course, I've told you guys many times, for 2 whole years in the 3rd phase of that course, I traveled to the United Kingdom every month, sometimes twice a month. Yeah, every month. And I would go. We used to work Sunday to Thursday at the time. I would work Sunday to Thursday. Thursday evening, I would come straight from work, come pack my things. If there was an order I needed to deliver, sometimes him and the kids and I would be in there trying to get the order ready. Most of the time when it was time for me to leave Thursday evening, I didn't have time to be sitting here to cook for no children. I didn't have time to be cooking Friday, Saturday food for the children. No. I just jumped in, and Maurice would take me to the airport, and he would stand in and he would make sure the children were able. I was able to go. I love my kids aggressively, and so if I had a feeling that my children would be disadvantaged in some way, I would not have gone. I was able to kill my mind and go in peace, because there was somebody here standing in, making sure that the children were good, so I could go and pursue my studies. Yes, it was me who did the studies, but again, my husband and my children will tell you, especially when I got into the writing phase, he needed me to sit away from everybody, away from all the other things that are family life responsibilities. And yeah, if you are going to be able to do that, somebody else has to step in. It was nice.
Yeah. Like, it wasn't like, it's how some people, like, if like the one parent goes, it's like hell on earth. But one parent is like,
Yeah.
It wasn't like,
No, I wasn't that kind of one parent situation at all.
that took care of us, he fed us.
That took care of everything. You fed not just you, you even fed me sometimes.
I was talking about when you went to England.
When I went to England, and I went to England in peace, knowing that you would figure something out, you would be sorted, you'd be good. And that's why I was comfortable to go. If I didn't have that assurance, I wouldn't be able to leave you. And if I didn't have that assurance and I couldn't leave them, well, this would not have happened. So you would turn around and say that this is my achievement, and it is, but it is not my achievement done in isolation. Somebody has to stand in for you. I was explaining with this musician, if you are going to do music and you are going to go on stage and you are going to perform, and again, I've seen a lot of these videos from Kwaku Mensah. I didn't know about Kwaku Mensah until I think last night. Somebody sent me his videos so I could see Akosua Serwaa popping in delivering hot food. And then I stayed on the page and looked at a few other things that Kwaku Mensah had put out. But yeah, Kwaku Mensah, they were in Amsterdam, then they were in the US, and then they were in the where and they were in the how. The only time I saw Akosua Serwaa on the road was in an Amsterdam show in the early days. The other ones, he was in all these other countries on his own. Guess who was home with his children? If a person would not have somebody to ground you at home, if a person will not let you free your income because when you start any career, even if the money was all Lumba's money, and in this case we know it's not, but even if all the money was Lumba's earnings whilst he was in Germany, we know it's not, because he himself has admitted to it. But even if he had used this money, somebody has to pay the rent, so that you have your salary availed to do your thing. Somebody will have to buy food so that you are able to do certain things. Somebody was telling me recently, I laughed. We owned a house, and the house needed a refurbishment. And my husband was spearheading that refurbishment. I refused to put one dime in that refurbishment because I was doing other things. And this person says, well, yeah, you know, for example, interesting how you say that. Yeah, he was able to divert all his income into that refurbishment. Did you think for 1 second that we live in a place that we do need rent? Did you think for 1 second that whilst that refurbishment was going, that we had children who had fees to be paid? Did you think about that for a second? So I had not paid 1 kobo to the refurbishment. But don't be fooled and don't talk nonsense about me not having an input in there, because there are certain things that I would have to do, and I will have to guarantee so that he is able to relax and do a refurbishment and do a great job at the refurb. And the refurb was great. The kids and I, we love this house. We do. We enjoy this house. It's beautiful. But you cannot turn around and tell me that I did not make a contribution to that refurbishment. So apparently there's been a high court ruling that says, and I said to this person, look, for me, it's a simple call to my bank. It's a very simple call to my bank to ask for bank statements for a period of time. And you would see clearly how much of my income went into. And so you don't need to have kept many receipts, even if you were withdrawing fixed amounts from your ATM. And those fixed amounts could then be proven to be used for whatever. It's not that difficult to prove. Involvement in supporting a spouse to do stuff, even if all you did was cook. And as I said, when I was writing my thesis, my husband did not write a line for me. It's not his line of research. I wrote that thing myself. But there are many nights that I forgot to eat dinner, and he would bring me dinner to my desk. There are many midnights when I had burned the midnight oil, and he would bring me tea. There are many days when I was so focused, laser focused on that I forgot my medication. And so he brought my medication, or he came to remind me to take my medication. You cannot disrespect contributions that people make in the making of somebody like that. You cannot. You cannot. That I will hear somebody say somewhere that I didn't contribute to something my husband did. You be the greatest of the idiots. In as much as he has invested into me, I have invested into him too. It is almost impossible for you to be with somebody for a long period of time and not get into intertwining of finances. You would intertwine. Women never really understood their rights. I know a lot of women abroad whose husbands told them to, oh, you take care of the home, I will go and do the property. The man will go to their village, the man will buy the land in only his name, the man will build the house, and eventually the woman will find that she didn't have her name on the document, but because she was not really into fighting, she would leave it. A lot of women did not understand their rights, and they let some of those things go. There's a friend of mine in Zimbabwe who's just made a stake. She's made a claim And the laws in Zimbabwe have just agreed with her. And the laws in Zimbabwe has just stood by her. And her claim was very simple. Yeah, whatever was bought in the man's name. But she just opened her bank account and she printed her bank statement where she had sent fixed amounts of money, and when they totaled it, it actually totaled the full amount for the land. Yeah, the full amount for the land was taken from her resources. She just managed to open her bank statement and add the monies up. She was able to show them that all the food that was eaten by that household, including what they were taking for lunch, was all bought from her wages, because you could see how much had been paid to the local supermarkets on a weekly basis. It was obvious. Water, electricity had all come from her. And that's all the judge needed to see, to understand that this person had made a direct investment. But yeah, the property was not in her name. The deed was not in her name. The guy had been a rat and managed to blindside her like a lot of us get blindsided over. But it doesn't matter. It does not matter. You can prove your participation in various other ways. Yeah? And that is the lesson from some of these stories that I am very happy are happening. It is an absolute delight to see more women begin to understand. This Zimbabwean lady sent it to me and said, you know, Amma, some of the videos you were making about this situation in Ghana is what gave me the idea. I contacted the lawyer in Zimbabwe. I've just made my claim and I am very happy to report, like, beautiful. Yeah, she would not have done anything. Our mothers and aunties before us would have done nothing. They would have sat and watched. They would have accepted that because their names were not on the deed, that was it. No, we are wising up. And then I see a lot of them, all these witches who are here for property. All these wizards who are hiding property, are we going to discuss those? Or are we just going to discuss the witches? The wizards who want to disinherit those who deserve a stake in an estate, will we discuss those witches and wizards, or would we leave those and only discuss the witches who are here to get their fair share?
Is that how some men will be like, I don't want to date a gold digger, but they have no gold.
But that's the thing. I asked somebody recently, what gold do you have? You don't want a gold digger. The people who have gold, they are not bothered about digging. People who have gold, they already understand the principles of mining. They are not. Those who have gold, they've been mining for a long time. They understand the principles of mining. It is those of you who do not have an ounce of gold, who don't know a thing about mining, who would disturb us about gold. You got this gold, you got that gold. No, listen. So I'm sorry, if we are not going to discuss the witches and wizards who attempt to let people invest in places and convince them to not get a return on their investments, then the witches and wizards who want a return on their investments should also be left well alone. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah? Isn't it disgraceful that people are fighting for property? No. It is not. Actually, it's disgraceful that a person will be left to fight for property. I cannot imagine that my husband will be left by anybody around me to come and fight for something we have worked together. I am quite vocal about the fact that my husband and I are joint investors in the things that come to me. I say here on Facebook all the time, and I tell you, and I acknowledge his contribution. I tell you, even with the media business, you will not see him at the front, but he is always in the cracks at the back, and he's entitled to his stake here. Now, I don't expect any family member of mine to be here to argue with my husband over what is his due if the unfortunate happens to me. Well, in the same way, I expect my husband to also call his dogs to order. I tame my dogs, you tame your dogs. That's how it should be. And if a person refuses to tame their dogs, it's a shame on that person, not on you who has to come and stand in and later rectify a mistake they made. If your spouse does not protect you, it's a shame to your spouse. If your spouse does not acknowledge, I know men who tell people that they own property that they didn't even own, so that when they passed, family members are here to try and grab it from their wives. Sometimes it's the men who tell tall tales. On the other occasions, it's the family members who assume. But either way, you should call your dogs to order. You should let people in your lives know. They should understand where your spouse's stake is. Should be very clearly stated. Everybody should know. There should not be a shadow of a doubt around the entitlement of your spouse. It should be settled and protected by you. Whether that be that you write a will and you make sure that it's done, whether you do a transfer of assets into your spouse's name, whether you have open retrics. It should never be that your spouse is left exposed on your watch. It should never be. You should take care of situations so that your spouse is not put in that position. And so if you don't take care of business and your spouse is left in that position, it's a shame on you. Never a shame on your spouse. But I get so many people who don't seem to understand some of these symbols. Oh, hush. Be quiet. If a person's interest is not protected, well, it becomes the person's responsibility to protect it. And so be quiet and leave people to do that, which they wouldn't really need to have to do ordinarily, all things being equal. Be quiet and let people have peace, mopping up after other people where they shouldn't really have to. And I don't understand why this very simple thing seems to be such an issue for so many people whose brains should be capable of understanding. We work so that we can reap the benefits of our work. We invest so that we can get returns on our investments. We do. My husband is entitled to returns on many of my investments, including even my intellectual rights. There are some things whose intellectual rights belong to me, but the creating of those assets are facilitated by a person who stands in the gap for you. If you write a book, somebody has to mind the kids, somebody has to hold forth, somebody else will have to take care of some things in order to free you to create some of these assets. And so, yeah, you own the assets, but they might be entitled to some of the fruits of that asset. If you have royalties and you pass, a spouse is entitled to claim some of those royalties, of course. It's a giving. You shouldn't really require anybody's explanation. But yeah, apparently, most people cannot understand this simple thing. It was not bought with your money. It doesn't need to be bought with my money for me to be entitled. It was not sung with your voice. It does not need to be sung with my voice, honey. It was not written by your hand. It does not need to be written by my hand. Contribution towards these things can be very varied. Just clown. So many parking spots, and then they make the nuisance of themselves here. Yeah. Anyway, it sounds to me that there still remains many lessons to be learned around the story, so we teach it. Huh? I'll throw this here. When I have a chance to respond again, it's in, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The weather is nice.
It's beautiful, and especially on the Corniche.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how long the Corniche was. We drove along it. It was a 4-minute video.
It is a long drive, and we didn't even get halfway through. Yeah, maybe 1/3 of it. All right, guys. Let me leave you. Let me walk to where we are heading to, and on our way back, you shall hear from me again. Yeah, depending on how you respond to this one. Ta-ta.